Luis Diaz to Liverpool. There's been mass amounts of reports in recent weeks confirming Liverpool's interest in the Colombian winger. Join me as I delve into this and just see just how likely is it that Luis Diaz could join Liverpool in January? Diaz firmly stamped his name in world football, tying level with Lionel Messi in the Golden Boot race in the Copa America last summer. Luis Diaz is currently the top goal scorer in the Portuguese Primeira Division, with 10 goals in 13 games this season. He's also been a key standout player for Porto in the Champions League campaign this year. Despite not returning any goals, he looked a real threat when Porto came up against Liverpool in the Champions League. Pip Sierra, pardon me if I've butchered your name, who is a very, very reliable journalist when it comes to Colombian players, has actually came out and said Liverpool have directly asked FC Porto about the availability of Luis Diaz. This has also been confirmed by huge outlet Marca. Sierra also claims that despite Diaz having an €80 million release clause with Porto, an offer of around €50 million would then tempt Porto to sit down and negotiate the sale of Diaz to another club. In a recent interview with Radio Renaissance, sorry again if I've butchered that, Diaz's agent Carlos Van Strahalen has said it's normal for big clubs to be linked with the Colombian given his standout performances in the last 12 months. Let's have a look at Luis Diaz's stats, because to be honest with you, they have surprised me a little bit, because his standard stats do not stand out like you'd expect them to when Liverpool are looking at a player. His XG only ranks him in the 8th percentile against all other attacking midfielding players. But when you look at his shooting stats, they do look a little bit more saucy, to be honest. When you look at his shot ratio, that's in the 86th percentile. You're looking at his shots on target, and that's the 93rd percentile, which I do think is key, because if his shot's on target, you've got a better chance of it going in. That's just obvious, really, isn't it? And his average shot distance as well is in the 76th percentile, which stands out to me because I feel like Liverpool are currently missing that player who will just ping it from distance. We've seen Thiago do it in recent weeks. We know the Ox can do it. But apart from that, we don't really see it too much. We've seen the Fabinho wonder strike against City. We haven't seen too much more of that. So a player who can ping it from outside the box and isn't afraid to ping it from outside the box, that excites me. And also his XG in shooting is in the 94th percentile, and his non-penalty goals is also in the 93rd percentile, which again stands out to me. It's a player who isn't taking penalties and is still returning 10 goals in 13 games. Yes, it is in the Portuguese Primeira Division. The Premier League is a different calibre of opponents. However, that's still some decent stats. When you look at Luis Diaz's passing stats, they do not look for good reading. We're talking short passes, the 12th percentile, medium passes, the 17th percentile, but as long passes, he actually ranks in the 99th percentile, which puts Luis Diaz as one of the best in his position in world football for long-range passes, which is interesting to me because I can't say I've seen too much of Luis Diaz to know how his game works, but to be ranking in the 99th percentile for long-range pass completion is insane. But then when you're looking at his short and medium passes ranking in the 17th percentile and 12th percentile respectively, you're a little bit like, how is that so high? It's crazy. And his pass completion is also only 57th percentile. He only completes on average 77.3% of his passes, which again for me, it's worrying, especially when you want to bring in a player in who's going to come in and be part of the attacking setup at Liverpool. You want them short passes to be a lot higher than the 12th percentile. On average, he's completing 10.6 per 90 of the ones that he's attempted. Now he's attempting 28.38 per 90 passes and only completing 10.6 per 90, which again, it doesn't stand out to me. Even as passes attempted, 28.38 per 90, which ranks him in the 9th percentile for passes attempted. Now, Liverpool play such slick football in their attacking movement. We've seen José, Mane, Salah and Bobby when he's playing as well. They link up so well. Quick one-touch movements off the ball. Get it, pass it, receive it, go. All this type of movements Liverpool use. I feel like Luis Diaz won't fit into that because when you watch Liverpool, you see like Jota will receive the ball, he'll take a touch, he'll turn, open his body up and he'll release a pass to Salah or Mane or another player in order to start our attack. With Diaz only ranking in the 9th percentile for passes, it makes me think, why? Why aren't you passing the ball? Is he a bit selfish? We do not need a selfish player playing in that role. Although he would be good coming in January to cover the absence of Mane and Salah with the AFCON. his stats in terms of his passing and that doesn't really stand out to me that much. And it's something that worries me when he's coming into that attacking setup. I mean, his passes offside as well, he ranks in the 99th percentile, so that's showing that he's attempting passes, but they're always ending up offside. He's one of the best players in his position for offside passes, which is not what you want to see. And the 87th percentile for passes out of bounds. Again, it's stats you don't really want to be seeing from an attacking player. I mean, as passes blocked, 79th percentile, that's something you do want to see the lower end because you don't want to see his passes blocked. So it is worrying when you're looking at his passes attempted and his pass succession when you know that he's going to be going into that attacking setup at Liverpool. Also, his pressures, he only ranks in the 18th percentile for pressures, but when he does attempt the press, he is usually successful because he ranks in the 84th percentile for successful pressures, which is on average 30.8% of pressures per 90. Again, this is good pressing stats, but the pressures that he's attempting isn't good enough. We know that when he does press, he's very successful at it because he's ranking in the 84th percentile, but it's getting him to press. So looking at his stats, I am not sitting here and saying now I've watched Luis Diaz play loads of football. I've seen him play against Liverpool twice, and he did stand out, but only being in the 18th percentile for pressures, that's concerning to me because Liverpool are a team who play a high press. We press from the back. All of our defence, our midfield, our attack, we're constantly pressurising. Diogo Jota, when he was bought, was described by Pep and Linders as a pressing monster. And now I'm supposed to believe that we're going to buy someone who is only in the 18th percentile for pressures. That concerns me because looking at his stats, it reads the picture that he's quite lazy. But maybe he just plays a little bit deeper in the Porto side. But to be honest with you, the positions that he does play is like the attacker midfield and on the wing. So I'd be expecting more pressures from him. But when you do look at his possession stats, these stand out massively. And this is why I think Liverpool are interested in Diaz. He's in the 92nd percentile for dribbles completed. He's in the 93rd percentile for dribbles attempted. So that basically tells you any dribble this fella's attempting, he's successful in, and he's phenomenal at doing it. He is in the 53rd percentile for successful dribbles, but that on average is about 55.6% of his dribbles per game are successful, which is insane numbers. Also, his players dribbled past, he's in the 93rd percentile. This is all ranking against players in a similar position to him. So to be ranking that high is fantastic. And who doesn't love a good nutmeg? 91st percentile for nutmegs for Luis Diaz, which that stands out to me massively. I'd love a good nutmeg. I do like players who have got a little bit of a slick skill on them and stuff. I think that's why I like Bobby Firmino so much. And he does also draw a lot of fouls, 77 percentile, 4 fouls drawn. So you do know players do foul him. He is going to get free kicks, and who knows, Trent could bang one top ins. He's also in the 65th percentile for aerial duels won as well, which again is a good stat because a lot of balls in the Premier League are won in the air, so you want someone who's good in the air, and ranking in the 65th percentile for an attacker for aerials won shows he can be dangerous with his head as well going forward. When you do look at Luis Diaz's positioning, he does seem to play on the left of the midfield or on the attacking side of the left, so it's a similar position to where Diogo Jota plays as well, which to me I'm just a little bit like, is that mean Jota's going to be slotting more into the middle? Because we are quite stacked with Jota being able to play on the left. Mane plays on the left. Minamino can play on the left. Curtis Jones can play on the left. It begs the question, is there much point in bringing somebody in who's heavily involved on the left when ideally we need someone to be playing more on the right to cover Mo Salah during the AFCON? Jota can play down through the middle, but Luis Diaz seems to be heavily on the left-hand side. He doesn't play in the middle, doesn't play on the right. It's basically from a left mid all the way up to a left forward. You can play in any position on the left, which again is very similar to Curtis Jones. So it begs the question, why pay €50 million for somebody when you've got somebody coming through who has got the potential to be as good as, if not better than Luis Diaz, in my opinion. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. I personally think Luis Diaz will end up at Liverpool. The link seems to be too strong. Too many reliable journalists are talking about this. For €50 million, which works out about £35-40 million, I'm not completely sold on it, but I wasn't sold on Diogo Jota, and he's proved me wrong. So hopefully Diaz comes in and proves everybody wrong. But let me know in the comments, would you like to see Luis Diaz at Liverpool? And is he worth a €50 million price tag, given when you look at his stats?